The transition from SASSA Gold Cards to Postbank Black Cards has been met with significant challenges, prompting an extension to March 20th. This shift affects 1.4 million grant recipients, many of whom risk losing access to their payments if they do not update their cards in time. Meanwhile, SASSA is implementing new biometric verification measures to prevent fraud and streamline grant payments. In addition, social grants are set to increase from April 1st, providing some financial relief to vulnerable beneficiaries amid rising costs of living. However, with the VAT rate increasing and persistent administrative issues, many are questioning whether these challenges truly address the financial struggles of grant recipients. This afternoon, we're joined by Raiters, a social grants activist, to discuss the impact of these transitions, ongoing challenges in the system, and what needs to be done to protect beneficiaries. Elizabeth, good to speak to you this afternoon. Now, there is a transitioning, there is a conversation around a March 20 deadline, and this is where we seek clarity as we begin the conversation. Are you aware of the extension beyond March 20?
Good afternoon, Hugo, and good afternoon to the viewers as well. No, there will be no further extension, Hugo. Unfortunately, I have tried to fight the system. In actual fact, we asked for 3 months grace for the beneficiaries when they implemented this, and the deadline was on the 28th of February. But the department decided to give less than a month, knowing that we have nearly 18 million beneficiaries who actually need to swap their cards. I don't know how beneficiaries are going to do it, because there's quite still a lot of beneficiaries that hasn't swapped. And you do know that the retailers are full. Postbank hasn't actually implemented what they said they were going to implement, like new measures like bringing the services closer to the beneficiaries, getting more staff on board. They haven't done any of that, but I do know the next option will be then that the beneficiaries have to do a cardless withdrawal at retailers, just like the SRD.
So let's talk about the implications of not extending this deadline, firstly. And secondly, what has led to so few of the beneficiaries moving across to the new card?
I don't know why they have not extended this date, because I don't think less than a month was actually right. I think they should have at least given the beneficiaries 3 months, even though they said it started in September last year. But the thing is, when it started last year in September, they didn't give a deadline to the beneficiaries. They actually told the beneficiaries that the SASSA Gold Card will always be working. But I think a lot of the beneficiaries are now deciding to actually move to their personal bank accounts, as Postbank for the past few years has been having a lot of glitches. And there's been on many occasions where beneficiaries didn't access their grants for a few months, some up to 3 months. So majority of the beneficiaries have actually decided to go to the personal banks.
So let's speak a little bit about the biometric verification system that's going to be implemented. Just walk us through how this is going to work, and if it's going to pose a challenge for those beneficiaries.
The eKYC system have been up and running. That has been implemented last year, June, but it was offline this year from January, and it only came back last week. This is actually where you have to do biometrics. In order for you to do that, you need a smart card ID. If you do not have a smart card ID, you won't be able to do the verification. This is actually to curb fraud. I'm totally not against this, because there's a lot of fraud in the SRD grant, and definitely if we want the deserving beneficiaries to access their money, then they have to actually implement this measure. But my biggest concern here is that a lot of beneficiaries still have the green ID books, and you need a smart card ID. And I think this is where SASSA should actually start working with Home Affairs, where the switch from the green book ID to the smart card ID should be free, because these beneficiaries will then have to cough up 140 rand. That's the cost of the ID, and then also they will also have to put transport costs. So on a mere 370 rand, how is that going to be viable, Hugo?
You raise an important issue, Elizabeth. So do you reckon that the reason that many of these individuals have not moved to the Smart ID is because of that cost?
Yes, definitely, Hugo. It is because of the cost. Because the 370 can't even buy food for a week. It buys food for 2 days. So for the beneficiaries to actually take more than half of that money 1 month just to go and do a smart card ID, they'll be suffering. Already the grant doesn't have any value, and you can't even just support your basic needs with it. So I think this is going to be a challenge, and I would also want to know how SASSA is going to implement this, because you do need a smartphone with a good camera. If you don't have that, you won't be able to pass verification. I do beneficiaries verification on a daily basis because the beneficiaries don't even understand the eKYC system. They actually fail the verification. So they will rather come to my home and I will do the verification myself.
Now, the VAT increase from 15% to 15.5% will affect food and essential goods. Will the grant increases be enough to offset the impact of inflation?
No, I definitely don't think so. And like your previous speaker just said, I actually feel very sad that the minister keeps on increasing the CSG with so little money. Children are actually more costly. If the minister must realize that children are much more costly than an adult. Children attend school. It's everyday bread. It's everyday lunch stuff. It's they grow out of their clothes. Some are youngsters. They need toiletries. So for the minister to actually increase the CSG with only 30 rand is actually very, very sad.
Now, finally, if SASSA and Postbank don't resolve the current challenges, what are the risks to beneficiaries, and how can civil society push for better solutions?
I really thought that actually the government, the department would actually extend the date at least by another month, but this looks totally impossible because they themselves have admitted that not all beneficiaries will be able to switch over by the 20th of March. So if they have admitted this, why are they not pushing the date further? I don't understand why not, but there will be a risk, but I hope then beneficiaries either go for their personal bank account, which they can still do now, or they will then have to go for the cardless option at retailers.
Elizabeth Raiters, social grants activist, appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking to us. And we certainly hope that there will be some resolution, either a particularly a change over to local bank accounts for those SASSA beneficiaries or grant beneficiaries that are not able to move over to the new cards.